Tonight we're checking out people who recorded their last moments by chilling scares. Let's go.
Ivan Lester McGuire was a 35-year-old skydiving expert who lived in the small town of Franklinton, North Carolina.
I wonder how he's gonna die.
He worked as a skydiving cameraman at the now defunct Franklin County Sports Parachute Center, where his job was to capture photos and videos of clients who wanted their skydive jumps recorded. He'd been doing this every day for years, and April 2nd, 1988 was no different. Unfortunately, what began as just another routine workday would end in a sudden, irreversible tragedy.
Okay.
The day began smoothly, with Ivan successfully completing 2 dives by late afternoon. But it was an unusually busy Saturday, and before the sun could set, he was called in for a 3rd jump. He was already exhausted by this point, but didn't want fatigue to get in the way of his job, so
That's what I'm saying. 3rd jump, I'm cool. First 2 jumps, right? But they're like, really, you gotta hit him up with a 3rd jump today? I'm already tired, man. I'm already tired. I'm not gonna pack my parachute the right way. You know what I'm saying? 2 jumps is kind of my max.
Agreed to the dive. The plane took off from the runway located right next to the sports center, and within just 15 minutes, it was soaring 10,500 feet in the air.
That's a lot
After
of
reaching
feet.
this desired altitude, Ivan jumped first, making sure to keep his helmet-mounted camera pointed towards the client and their accompanying skydiving instructor. What you're looking at right now is a part of the footage that he captured.
Okay.
A few seconds after the jump, the other instructor opened his parachute.
Oh my god. Bro, that was the worst.
Part of the footage that he captured.
Okay.
A few seconds after the jump, the other instructor opened his parachute, which was Ivan's cue to open his own.
Yep.
But when he reached for his ripcord, it wasn't there. Panic set in as he frantically disregarded getting a good shot and searched his body for the ripcord, hoping it was just stuck somewhere. And that's when he made the horrifying discovery. He wasn't wearing a parachute at all. And since the other instructor had already opened his parachute, he couldn't help Ivan in any way either. After realizing his situation, the only words that came out of Ivan's mouth were, "Oh my god, no." The footage then became blurry as Ivan sped up to 150 miles per hour, or over 240 kilometers per hour. He crash-landed in a wooded area near the runway and likely passed.
Hold up. You get that fast when you're skydiving? Or is it like the longer you fall, the faster you get? That's fucking insane.
Passed away the instant he hit the ground. When rescue workers found his body, his camera equipment and the VHS tape he was recording on were broken into multiple pieces. Fortunately, investigators were able to splice together enough working sections to get a good picture of what happened before he jumped. They were able to rule out both foul play and the possibility that Ivan had intentionally chosen not to wear a parachute. But if that's the case, how could a seasoned expert with over 800 successful skydives under his belt simply forget to put on his parachute? Unfortunately, none of the evidence the investigators were able to gather answered this question. But given his circumstances, a few popular theories have emerged that offer possible explanations for what might have gone wrong. The first of which is that this incident was the result of nothing more than ill-fated complacency. As I mentioned earlier, Ivan had already completed 2 jumps that day.
That's the thing. If you're so tired, you will forget to do like literally anything. You know what I'm saying? Even if you've done it a million times. Like sometimes I'll be so fucking tired and I've got to go somewhere, right? So I'll hop in the car. I'll be fucking 15 minutes down the road and I realize I forgot to turn the fucking car on. Once you get like to a certain level of tired, it doesn't mean anything. Like your routines don't mean shit.
And was exhausted before getting on the plane for the 3rd time. Maybe he assumed he was completely geared up, when in reality he was missing the most crucial piece of equipment. However, if he wasn't wearing anything on his shoulders, someone around him would have almost certainly noticed before the jump. Which brings us to the second and more likely possibility. The incident happened because of his camera equipment. You see, unlike today where a tiny action cam is all it takes to film a skydive, back in the 1980s, recording that footage required bulky camera gear that had to be worn in a backpack. There's a chance Ivan and the others around him mistook this camera bag for the parachute and didn't realize the truth until it was too late. That said, while Ivan wasn't fortunate enough to survive, the footage of his accident stands as a sobering reminder for skydivers to always double, even triple check their gear.
Fuck it, quadruple. That is so sad, man. Can you put yourself in his shoes for a minute? And just like imagine like that moment when you're like, oh my, like literally what he said, oh my God, no. It's like your life definitely has to flash. It's like, oh my God, like everything I've wanted to do, my family, my friends, my love, it's like it's all going away now. right? And it's like, oh! I think the scariest part is like, what is gonna happen after I die? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really know. You know, I mean, we've got ideas, but it's not 100%. And it's just that's so scary to me, guys. It's so fucking scary. And it's like, you know what? At least when he hit the ground, he probably didn't even feel it. He was probably just instantly dead. Because your brain takes like 0.2 seconds to register pain. So hopefully it just straight up killed him. That's unfortunate, y'all. Rest in peace.
On the 15th of January 2023, Yeti Airlines Flight 691 took off from Kathmandu's Triphuvan International Airport at around 10:30 a.m. It was a domestic flight headed for the Pokhara International Airport, located roughly 124 miles or 200 kilometers west of the takeoff location. Things started off just as everyone hoped, with the plane taking off, climbing, cruising, and even descending without any issues. And as it was about to land at the Pokhara airport, one of the passengers started live streaming on Facebook from within the cabin. This passenger was a 25-year-old Indian man named Sanu Jaiswal. He was an adventurous young man who loved nothing more than exploring new places with his friends and experiencing their beauty firsthand. This time he had traveled to Nepal as a tourist with 3 of his close friends. And
have y'all seen this, bro? It is not for the faint of heart. Also, XX Foxtrot with the 1,000 bits. First of all, thank you. Number 2, you're good, man. You're good. Yo, you got me, though. You got me twice, Foxtrot. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 1,000 bit.
After enjoying Kathmandu to its fullest, the 4 of them were headed to Pokhara to experience paragliding. He was excited for the upcoming adventure and wanted to share this moment with his entire social circle, which is why he started streaming. What none of his viewers knew, however, was that this was going to be the last time they would see Sanu alive. Because just a minute after he started streaming, the situation took a terrifying turn as the camera became disoriented and the laughter turned to screaming. What followed was an extremely loud explosion. Somehow the phone stayed intact and continued streaming everything to Sanu's friends and family, but all they could see at this point was nothing short of horrific, with the entire camera feed getting covered in raging flames, and worst of all, the screaming suddenly coming to a halt. Something had gone horribly wrong, and it wasn't long before people found out exactly what. Flight 691 had somehow crashed into the riverbank a few hundred meters away from the airport. The crash also caused the remaining fuel to ignite, so by the time the rescue workers arrived on the scene, there was nothing left. The crash and the resulting fire had taken the lives of—
Oh my god, bro. You know what's so fucked up right now? That there are probably people here that we can't even make out because they're so charred. That is so fucking sad, bro. Crash into a fucking riverbank? Are we serious? Who's piloting this shit?
The 4 crew members and the 68 passengers. Sanu was among these casualties, as he unknowingly recorded his own final moments with no idea of the tragedy that was about to unfold. The only silver lining in this accident was that the plane barely missed the populated area right next to the river, which would have likely doubled, if not tripled, the losses. As for how things went so horribly wrong when the rest of the flight had been relatively smooth, a months-long investigation concluded that it was mostly due to human error. You see, the flight was originally supposed to land on runway 30, but for some unknown reason the pilot requested to land on the indirect runway 12. Now, the co-pilot Anju Kariwada was under training at the time, so it's possible the pilot requested the alternative route to teach her how to land at an awkward angle. Unfortunately, while the plane was—
Hold up, what? Hold on. The co-pilot was under training? Don't they have simulators for this shit? Now is not the time to teach her how to land at an awkward route. Is that what I just fucking heard? Bro, are we dead ass right now?
Turning, she misinterpreted a command and accidentally switched both engine propellers to the feathered position. This resulted in the engine stalling, the plane losing control, turning over and crashing into the riverbank.
Oh my
Put
god!
simply,
Wait, that's an actual video?
A single unfortunate mistake cost the lives of dozens of people and uprooted the lives of hundreds of family members.
Oh my God. Dude, imagine coming into land, right? And that's already scary. That's honestly scary. Taking off and landing are the scariest parts. And you're about to come into land, and this shit goes like this. Like, bro. Oh my literal. Like, oh my God. I can't. I can't. Rest in peace, bro.
On June 16, 2013, 29-year-old Yevgeny Titov noticed a demolition happening near his work in Lipetsk, Russia. He was on his lunch break and had plenty of time to admire the work being done. So he took out his phone and started recording the demolition. Unfortunately, watching this demolition was about to become the worst decision of his life. Now, I should mention that Yevgeny was being as cautious as he could.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, I would feel comfortable standing here. This looks fine to me.
He was standing at least twice as far from the building being destroyed as the two men in front of him.
Yeah.
Yevgeny was also standing off to the side, since given the demolition method, the debris looked like it was going to fall towards the excavator. Tragically, that is not what happened. As the excavator pulled the wall beyond its tipping point, it didn't detach cleanly and rotated mid-air, sending massive bricks and other debris hurling toward Yevgeny. And while the men standing nearby were nearly missed, Yevgeny wasn't so lucky. He was thrown to the ground by flying debris, with the impact leaving him critically wounded while others rushed over to help. Paramedics were called and rushed him to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late. Yevgeny had suffered multiple complex fractures, damaged organs, and serious brain trauma. He passed away shortly after reaching the hospital, leaving his wife and 3-year-old daughter behind.
Oh my God! Dude, that is like literal. Someone in chat said Final Destination. That is literally Final Destination, bro. That is so fucked. It's like, you know what? Fine. I'm not, listen, you can't fucking do anything anymore. You can't even watch a demolition from a safe distance.
To watch a building being demolished from what he believed was a safe distance. The company in charge.
Oh my God, bro, they literally shot out like a rocket.
A building being demolished from what he believed was a safe distance. The company in charge of the demolition was charged with criminal negligence for failing to establish an effective perimeter around the worksite, with the video Yevgeny captured serving as a crucial piece of evidence. However, no legal penalty could rewind time or erase the damage that had already been done.
That's, ugh.
23-year-old Helen Wendy Niabuto moved from Kenya to Canada on a 10-year study visa when she was just 20 years old. By 2022, she was close to completing her education while also working as a nurse and a personal support worker in the Toronto area. Things were going well for Helen, but things took a tragic turn in August of 2022 when a single accident wiped out everything she had worked so hard to build. She was hired as a personal support worker by someone living in the small town of Chatsworth, Ontario. She decided to rent a room in the only motel in Chatsworth to accommodate.
Chatsworth? Hold on, y'all got a whole town y'all didn't tell me about? I can't even come visit or nothing like that? Chatsworth. Alright, keep moving.
This job and started living there. The place wasn't too shabby, but the thing that caught Helen's eye was the motel's outdoor swimming pool. So on August 8, she found enough free time to go for a swim while also live streaming her experience on Facebook.
Nothing like going
She
for
had
a
the
swim.
pool all to herself, and it was every bit as peaceful and relaxing as she'd hoped. However, just as she was starting to enjoy swimming, disaster struck. About 10 minutes after getting into the pool, she decided to swim toward the deep end. Unfortunately, just seconds after entering the deep end, she lost control and began drowning. She desperately called for help with the little air she had left. Tragically, there was no one to hear her. After struggling in the water for nearly a minute, Helen lost the fight and passed away just outside the range of her phone's camera, which continued streaming everything live on Facebook. Her last words stating, "Let me enjoy some water," took on a much darker meaning as her live viewers waited for someone to notice Helen. However, she remained unnoticed for nearly 3 hours until 2 other guests finally arrived at the pool and made the heartbreaking discovery while the live stream was still going. But these guests couldn't even believe what they were looking at first.
Why is there just a dead person in the water? I know, that scared the... don't know what I got in it. I think it's a poodle or something.
That looks so realistic.
I know. I got in it and I was like, is it somebody? Walk over there. Just walk over there.
Like, what if it's actually somebody dead? Because I'm not even trolling, that looks way too real.
They eventually realized the truth and immediately contacted the motel management. By the time someone checked on Helen, she was long gone.
Bro, this dude said he was all nonchalant about it. Why is someone dead in the water? And then the dude was like, I think it's a poodle. Bro, what the fuck? Like, are these people smoking meth? What are we doing? And you know what? I can understand being in shock. Listen, I can understand it because you see stuff like this online, right? And then in real life, you might literally be like, wait, what? Like, that can't be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's everybody be real with me. You'd be like, wait a minute. That's not there's no way that's a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, no fucking way. Stop. But it's like, yo, life is, ooh.
The live stream helped prove that this was nothing more than a terrible accident, though that did little to soften the blow for her family. As her father stated, I watched the video, I cried, it's terrible. What made the tragedy even more devastating was that Helen was the sole breadwinner for her family. Without her, they couldn't even afford to bring her body home to Kenya.
Oh.
Fortunately, when the story made headlines, the internet came together and raised over 66,000 Canadian dollars to cover her funeral expenses and help her family in their time of need.
That's nice.
Giving a somewhat bright ending amongst an absolutely tragic situation.
Damn. Was that it?
Armin Schmieder was a 28-year-old Italian man with a love for extreme sports. He originally started with skydiving and performed countless jumps across Europe. But as time went on, he started getting bored of skydiving and wanted to try something even more extreme. So, sometime in 2015, he switched from skydiving to wingsuit base jumping. Learning a brand new sport, especially one as dangerous as wingsuit base jumping, was quite risky. But Armin managed to pull through and became quite proficient.
Dude, how do people do this? How do people get into this shit? Do you not have, and I'm not, no disrespect, but it's like, do y'all not have things in life and people in life that you care about more than fucking wingsuit diving? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it low key, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but to me, doing shit like this, especially if you have people that love you and care about you and rely on you even, it kind of sounds selfish as fuck to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you care more about? Getting a little fucking thrill flying around off a cliff? Or, you know, if you've got a wife and kids at home, them. You know, or even your mom or your fucking friends at home. You know? It kind of sounds a little fucking selfish to me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not trying to get, you know, anybody upset with me. That's just how I feel about it.
In just 1 year. What he didn't know, however, was that his luck was about to run out. On the 26th of August 2016, Armin climbed to the summit of Mount Kangersteg in the Swiss Alps. On this day, he wanted to livestream his adventure, which started with him putting on the equipment and getting ready for the jump. But since he didn't have any streaming-capable action camera or a secure mount for his phone, he came up with an alternative solution, where once he was fully geared up, he told his viewers, "Today you fly with me," and put the phone in his pocket. All his viewers could see now was the darkness inside of his pocket, with some light bleeding through the fabric. But the audio was still clear enough to understand what was going on, like Armin counting down and making the—
What if I told y'all, yo, we're doing a special stream. If we get 1,000 subs, we're gonna go wingsuit diving, and I'm gonna take y'all with me. And then we get up there, and I put y'all in my motherfucking pocket. Y'all would lose your goddamn marbles.
jump.
Zwei. Eins.
Things seemed to be going as expected. However, about 20 seconds after he made the jump, his phone captured the sounds of Armin screaming, crashing into the mountainside, and rapidly rolling down the steep terrain. fall ended with Armin landing in the middle of a cow pasture, now being completely silent. His viewers quickly contacted the authorities, who spent the next few hours looking for him. Unfortunately, by the time they found him, it was already too late. Armin had succumbed to his injuries and passed away.
Those were fucking cowbells, bruh. The cows were like, what the fuck? Where did this dude come from? Imagine mommy at home watching this on fucking Instagram Live. Like, dude, there are just some things that people do that are just straight up selfish, bro. Especially super dangerous shit like this. It's like, rest in peace to him, number one. But also completely fucking avoidable. You could have just not done this. You know what I'm saying? Selfish.
And while the Swiss authorities never released the true cause of his death, whether it was equipment failure or pilot...
I fucking wonder. The true cause of his death? Probably slamming into the side of a goddamn mountain.
Error. At the very least, he died doing what he loved.
Yeah, but he...
Tevye Pustio was a 29-year-old pop singer in Romania. He was described as one of Romania's rising music stars and was building a bigger following with each passing year. Unfortunately, before he had the chance to make it big, his career was abruptly cut short on August 15, 2020. He was riding through the city of Ploiesti in a car with his wife behind the wheel. And as they were making their way through the city, Tevye decided to livestream his travel from his phone. This stream was just him smoking, listening to music, smiling, and having plain fun. But then, a few minutes into the stream, his wife stopped the car at a crossing of sorts. She looked both ways before driving forward, only for the stream to suddenly cut off, with Tevye screaming in horror being the last thing viewers witnessed. As it turned out, the two were crossing a railway line, and while his wife did look both ways, she somehow missed the train barreling towards them. By the time they noticed, it was already too late. Their car was wrecked completely, resulting in Tevye tragically losing his life. What's crazy is that just a month before this crash, Tevye made a Facebook post stating, "One day the wrong train will take you to the right destination."
Bang. Whoa. That is fucking crazy. You know, that is the thing about trains, is low key, like if you see them coming, especially if they're going slow, you might legit think maybe it's like it's just sitting still. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand how you might think it's just like on the track, because you know sometimes you'll cross it when the things are not down like that, and you'll be like, oh, there's a train just over there chilling. She might have legit thought it was just chilling, but meanwhile it was like slowly coming.
His wife miraculously survived, but sustained several critical injuries. She was rushed to the hospital and put on life support, though I wasn't able to find any reports on what happened to her after that. The now tragic final memory Tevye left to his fans was him simply having fun and dancing to music.
I mean, it's a good final memory, y'all, but shit, that is... Dude, the foreshadowing in this episode, the final destination shit, I'm happy I don't leave my fucking house.